storm that surrounds me. Just one word, the darkness has to retreat. Just one touch, I feel the presence of heaven. Just one touch, my eyes were open to see. My heart can't help but believe. There's nothing that our God can do. There's not a mountain that He can't move. Oh, praise the name who makes a way. There's nothing that our God can do. Just one word, you hear what's broken inside me. Just one word, and you revive every dream. Oh, it's what you do. Oh, just one touch, I feel the power of heaven. Just one touch, my eyes were open to see. My heart can't help but believe. We sing, there's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that He can't move. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Oh, we sing, there's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a prison wall He can't break through. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Oh, we believe. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power like the power of Jesus. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power like the power of Jesus. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power like His power. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that He can't move. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Oh, we sing, there's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a prison wall He can't break through. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Oh, sing. Oh, 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 we believe. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power like the power of Jesus. There's no power like you, God. Yeah, no power like Jesus.
My bandmates knew I was a Christian, and they were cool. It wasn't too bad. They hated the idea of organised religion. But when you're in the moment, when you're being, these questions are being fired at you, it's almost like your default is to just go into defence mode. and not realise, actually, we agree on way more than we think we do. And I think, interestingly, actually, we agreed on a lot, like in terms of the way that maybe church in the past can control people or can try and control people. There was a specific moment I remember, it wasn't even on tour, we were rehearsing, and there were a couple of the crew that worked at the rehearsal studio, and we ended up all having a conversation outside, and it came up that I was part of a church and was a Christian, a happy clappy they would call me, you know. And it was really interesting because they started to ask questions like, if God is real, then how come? And they would bring up evolution and the problem of evil and all that kind of stuff. And I would feel the need to respond on the level they were asking, which was intellectual. But I suddenly realized, like, I can tell these people about the facts until I'm blue in the face, but they're not going to move until they see what it's done in me. Out of almost desperation and exasperation, I just said, look, we can talk about the science all day, but all I can say is I was a mess. And then I had an encounter with Jesus. I met the person of Jesus and I put my trust in him. I handed over control of my life to him. I believe that he died on a cross for humanity, and I've chosen that because of grace, through faith, I can have a relationship with him. And there was no response because they were just like, all right. And I don't know, maybe they were thinking this guy's lost it. I was like really downcast after this conversation. And I ended up actually walking home, and then a few hours later I got a text off a friend that I hadn't spoken to in about a year, and he said, mate, I know it's been a while, but I just really felt like God wanted to say that he's really proud of what you did today. And I remember almost dropping the phone. I remember I was in my parents' bathroom, and it was the first time that I'd felt completely convinced of the fact that God's not a philosophy, that he's a personality that's aware of me, that knows my name, that knows the hairs on my head, that's intimately involved with me, that knows where I've been, knows where I am, and knows where I'm going. And so, regardless of how the conversation went with the bandmates, I was on cloud nine for days, because I was like, man, he knows me, and I want to know him. I remember an old wise man once saying that what you win someone with, you win them to. And I think if you're winning people with an intellectual conversation, or the apologetics, or you're talking about evolution and science and the existence of God, that's fine, and I do enjoy those conversations, but I think if you've intellectualized God, it's not God anymore. I'll always use the name of Jesus in a conversation when it comes to sharing my faith. Firstly, because there's power in the name of Jesus, the Bible's clear about that, but secondly, because Jesus is basically an absolute statement. You know, a lot of people can talk about God, but as soon as you use the name Jesus, you can't deny, okay, this person is a Christian, they're a follower of Christ. And so I'll always say that I follow Jesus. Yeah, so it was a challenging time, sometimes when issues of faith and church were brought up in the band, but I think I realized that their salvation didn't land on my shoulders. That wasn't something that I needed to carry. I just needed to tell them about the good news, because ultimately it's the Holy Spirit that saves. And so knowing that was kind of a comfort for me, and just that God was pleased with me as one of his kids, telling one of his other kids about the Father. Amen.
Oh, the deep in midnight darkness, dangers wild on every hand, with the winds and waves all crashing, faces flushed with tears and terror, hear their sad and plaintive cry. Drop the oars, their boat is sinking, but the Lord they love is nigh. He who watches from the distance quickly comes, his own to save. Hushes winds to calm submission, quells the storm they could not brave. On the deep they see him walking, then the pure and sacred thrill of his voice amidst the tempest, calmly saying, "Peace be still. Peace be still. Peace be still. Heart of mine, oh cease thy striving, trust in him, thy dearest friend. Though the storms of life will gather, he will keep thee till the end. When the waves are wildly breaking and my soul with terrors fill, thou shalt hear like sweetest music, Jesus saying, "Peace be still. Peace be still. Peace be still. Peace be still. He is saying, "Peace be still."
And good evening, Elevate Church. It is so good to be with you all tonight. I am really looking forward to be able to continue the journey, of course, of Daniel and where that is going to lead. But before I get there tonight, I just want to say a big thank you to the musicians for tonight. And of course, that song that we just heard, "Peace Be Still." Just this song, as you know, we normally play songs that are a little bit more punchier than that. But I believe tonight that song could be really critical. So that song could be really critical for someone whilst you're at home. Storms are raging, no matter what is going on. Some things could seem a little bit wild and a little bit just unpredictable right now. And sometimes we need to speak to the storm. I want you to say, peace be still. God, take over this storm that I'm going through right now, and peace be still. So I just pray that song would really help you guys, would really help. It spoke to me as that song was going through production. So I'm really, really blessed to be able to play that tonight. So big, big thank you for that. Now, tonight, as we look at where we are going with on this journey, what an exciting time. We are getting ready for our very own journey within Elevate. Of course, the doors are going to be back open very soon. We've got a meeting coming up on Tuesday. Please be there. That is the information we're going to be pumping up at the end of this tonight. So please don't miss it. Of course, there's going to be some information that you need to take down for some Zoom numbers. But please, we'd love to see you, and we want to touch base with you, because as always, we believe the best is yet to come. But not forgetting, tonight, as we're on Daniel, we are going through Daniel chapter 3. And man, I think this has got to be one of the most favorite places of where we're at. For me personally and Daniel, this shouts out so much. We've been heading here for the last couple of weeks. We finally got here today. And of course, the journey doesn't end here, but it continues. But we mustn't forget, this is just an incredible place for Daniel. He's been through a really tough time. You mustn't forget, he's been pulled from the post, being pulled from an area that he didn't ask to be. He's in a place, in a position that he didn't ask to be, yet he's following the voice of God. And even though there's storms that are raging around him, remember, my goodness, even it looked like death was on the horizon. Last week, it looked like death was on the horizon. The week before, things were really tough for the guy, but yet he has almost said, you know what, I am going to keep my face absolutely looking forward to God. I don't care whatever is going to come. Whatever wind is coming, I don't care. Whatever the fire is coming, I don't care. Whatever storms are coming my way, I am choosing to stay fixed to him. So tonight we're going to be picking up Daniel chapter 3 and verse 19. Okay, Daniel 3 verse 19 says this. Nebuchadnezzar was so furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that his face became distorted with rage. He commanded that the furnace be heated 7 times hotter than usual. Then he ordered some of the strongest men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. So they tied up and threw them into the furnace, fully dressed in their pants, turbans, robes, and other garments. And because the king, in his anger, had demanded such a hot fire in the furnace, the flames killed the soldiers as they threw the 3 men in. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, securely tied, fell into the roaring flames. But suddenly Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in amazement and exclaimed to his advisors, "Didn't we tie up 3 men and throw them into the furnace?" "Yes, your majesty, we certainly did," they replied. "Look," Nebuchadnezzar shouted, "I see 4 men unbound walking around in the fire unharmed, and the 4th looks like a god." Then Nebuchadnezzar came as close as he could to the door of the flaming furnace and shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here." So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stepped out of the fire. Then the high officers, officials, governors, and advisors crowded around them and saw that the fire had not touched them. Not a hair on their heads was singed, and their clothing was not scorched, and they did not even smell of smoke. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angels to rescue his servants who trusted him, then defied the king's command and were willing to die rather than serve or worship any god except their own. Therefore, I make this decree. If any people, whatever their race, their nation, their language, speak a word against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they will be torn limb from limb, and their houses will be turned into heaps of rubble. There is no other God who can rescue like this." Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to even higher positions in the province of Babylon. Okay, so great scripture. I loved reading that tonight. There is so many golden nuggets in there. We're going to be pulling those out tonight. But before we do, I'm just going to pray. So, Father, just thank you for tonight. I just pray that wherever we are, I just pray that you would just speak to us. I pray that you would just calm those raging storms that are around us. You help us to see what is all good in life, and that we can look forward to seeing that the best is yet to come through everything that we do. Amen. Okay, so as we look at Daniel, now Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, these guys they just sold out for God, no matter whatever is going to happen. Now, King Nebuchadnezzar, as we've read, he is in a rage. He is furious, okay? So there's going to be a few words that's going to be popping up on a screen tonight, and it's just going to be helping us to keep focused upon where we are within the story, and of course looking at the goodness of God and but what's happened within that. So the first one we're going to be looking at is anger. Now, you've got to remember, picture this. King Nebuchadnezzar, He's a guy, this is all about the big I am. This is about him being the big guy, the guy that has done so much, the guy that is, I've built a big statue. He is a person that is willing to shout about how good he is. Remember, he's got officials, governors. He's called lots of people around to say, every time you hear the music, every time you hear the sound, every time that there is a harp that is played, a cymbal that is played, okay, we can even say, if there was a drum kit, of course, every time you hear that, you just got to bow down. That's kind of where they're at right now. Rightfully so. But we're in this place whereby every time you hear a musical instrument, you have to bow down towards this golden statue. Now, this was about him being really puffed up, and of course, the others were like, listen, we need to go and have a chat to King Nebuchadnezzar, because not everything is working right. See, not everything is running in the right place, and these guys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Daniel, these guys are they're not following your orders. Well, we picked that up this week, whereby the king is furious. Yes, he's had a conversation with them. Yes, they said, listen, you've clearly not bowed down towards this huge golden statue. And they said, no, we're not going to bow down to it. And in fact, it really doesn't matter whatever you say. It really doesn't matter if you're going to kill us or you want us dead. Whatever the outcome, we will never bow down to this. Well, of course, from that, King Nebuchadnezzar goes into a rage, okay? His face twists with anger. And here we pick this up this week, whereby King Nebuchadnezzar says, right, first thing is, I'm going to get that furnace 7 times hotter to make sure that these guys burn. These guys are going to pay the price for not bowing down to the thing that I've created. He was furious, and everyone could see it. They were like, okay, yeah, we're just going to heat that up. Now, when he did this came at a cost, because you've got to remember, to heat something up, yes, there was a furnace, and this wasn't a little fire. This was a significant furnace that they had, and people were able to walk around in it. It says that later on, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Daniel, were walking around, and of course there was a 4th person in the fire. So this was not a small fire. This was something big. So to enable them to heat it 7 times hotter was a huge amount of work that had to go into it. Yet they did. They carried out the king's commandments. And, of course, that's exactly what happened. Then, of course, the second thing was the king commanded them that the furnace not just be 7 times hotter, but it is in a place whereby as soon as someone goes into it, it's like, you're done. So his rage had turned into the command to, right, let's get them. If I just want to make a statement here. If this isn't going to happen and you're not going to follow what I'm saying, then therefore you have to pay the penalty. And the penalty is going to be death. Now, you could clearly see this is where he was, right? You could see this was his motive. This was the place where he was at. And we got to remember today, guys, right? I'm going through this quite quickly, the first part. He was furious. He was angry, yet the command was really, really clear. Really, really clear. And absolutely, Ben, it was 7 times hotter. That's exactly what it was. So, as we move on, we say, when he ordered things, he ordered there to be these like big strapping guys to come and to tie Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and of course Daniel, up. Now, why would he choose big guys? Well, really, really simple. He chose the big guys to make sure the rope was not going to come off. He made sure that they were going to be tied up, bound up. They were not moving anywhere. And it was a statement. Again, another statement of, listen, guys, unless you are going to bow down to me, and everyone was around, you could just picture it, that there was a scene. And it was really, really clear that if these people were not going to bow down to the thing that I've told them to, therefore they must die. And it wasn't just a case of making it 7 times hotter. It wasn't just a case that these guys were going to be thrown in. It was a case of they were ordered to be bound up by really, really strong guys to make sure these ropes were not coming off. Now, I've almost done a little tick list here, guys, right? So this is, you got to picture this, and I've done this for a little bit of fun for myself. So on the first part of the tick list for King Nebuchadnezzar, first part, he was like, okay, tick. The fire is 7 times hotter than previous. Man, that is absolutely roasting, okay? 7 times hotter. Number two, the men were bound. I've got some chains because the pictures I had couldn't fit rope on. So there's chains there, okay? So just agree with me and just enlighten me there, okay? So the men were bound up. Clearly, second tick, done. Third tick, okay, they were fully clothed. Why was this? This grabbed me thinking, why would they be fully clothed? Well, again, this is a statement, guys. There's going to be nothing left. This is, I don't want anyone to remind me of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and Daniel. I don't want there to be anything left of them. They've just got to, just in your anger, just throw them in. Fully clothed, get them gone. Don't want anything to do with them anymore. They won't bow down to me, so that's it. Game over. So it was almost like this, up until this point, it was a puff my chest out. I'm King Nebuchadnezzar. Everything that everyone else seen, it is a done deal. These guys are gone. Now, you would completely think, yes, in the natural, man, hot fire. Secondly, you're bound up. Thirdly, you're fully clothed, turban on, everything is here. You're going in. There's no doubt you're toast. Quite clearly. So, in the natural, everything was like tick, 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 tick. But God. So this is the part I'm going to pick it up on tonight, guys. This is where it gets exciting. See, all the other bits were in the natural, but we're not going to look at the natural tonight. We're looking at our God is bigger than the natural because he's supernatural. So therefore, he can break through barriers, he can break through walls, he can break through mountains, he can move stuff, he can calm seas, guys, we got to understand, we are serving a big God, not a little God. A big G, not a little g. And we've got to remember who he is and what he's done. So, this is the bit that I'm excited about. But God. So, we have to remember, this is for me tonight, guys. This is one of my favorite Bible verses tonight. So I'm going to get a bit excited as we're talking, because every time I look at this, it is like reopening a book going, oh my gosh, how did I miss that before? So here goes. So you got to picture this. The guys are bound. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're bound. Before I go into this, was God with them before they were in the fire or after they were in the fire? Question. Was God with them before they were in the fire or after they were in the fire? Come on, get your answers going. I want to see your answers coming up across the screen. Was God with them before the fire or after the fire? Now, I know you super spiritual are going to say, well, of course, God is always there. He's omnipresent. He's going to be there, of course. But I want to know, was he there before or was he there or was he there just in the fire? Now, I'm expecting there's going to be a bit of a lag, but I'm waiting for this to happen. So, you got to picture this, guys. These guys are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They're bound up. Daniel, of course, he's well in there. They're all bound up. They are ready to go into that fire. The king, in his anger, has fired this up. This is 7 times hotter, and the flames are raging. Flames are super, super big. Okay. Here's the thing. The flames may be really big, but not forgetting. Oh, Pat Roberts before. Thank you so much. So you've got to remember this. Flames are raging. Now, I wanna pull some proofs out of this tonight that we need to rely upon. And I'm going to say to you right from the outset, before Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, thank you, Alan, before Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego even go in there, here is what happens beforehand. The flames engulfed the guards that were putting Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and Daniel into the fiery furnace. When the flames engulfed them, it killed those guys, but yet it did not singe a single hair upon those guys. So even before they were going into the fire, they were not hurt at all. They were not consumed. Nothing went wrong. Nothing hurt them. Yet the others, picture this. You're trying to, you've got a guard. A guard is not going to lead you from behind, from the front. The guard is going to be behind, pushing them into the fire. Now notice this. The guards were killed. But yet Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Daniel, they were not touched at all. So, quite clearly, right from the outset, God was with them, the protection around them was there, and they were not injured. Secondly, it says quite clearly they fell into the fire. Now, this got me thinking. Now, the guards had died because of the temperature, 7 times hotter, yet these guys had fallen into it. This is amazing. So you've got to picture this. You fall in, the most natural thing to do is going to be to put yourself or to put your arm down to rest yourself. Remember, fire, 7 times hotter. 7 times hotter. They've been bound up. Arms are bound. Legs are bound. Yet, here they are in the fire walking down. But yet it says in the Bible that they fell into the fire. Now, I was picturing this today, but there's lots of there's lots of films around that have got superheroes in them, and of course these superheroes can do lots of different things. And I'm not going to just name a few, but there's many superheroes that have got superpowers. But I want to give us this picture tonight. So it is really easy for you to be in the water and get wet. Or you can be in the water but be in something to keep you dry, but yet you're still in the water. Think about that. So if you go into a submarine right now, that sub would go down into the sea. You will clearly say, I'm under the sea and I'm in the sea. But yet, you're surrounded by something that is protecting you. So you're in the sea, but you're not of the sea. You're not feeling the effects of the sea. You're not getting wet because you're inside a submarine. You're encased in something that is keeping you dry. Yet, you're still very much inside and in the sea, but you're surrounded by it. So I want to picture this right now. These guys fell into the flames. They fell in, but yet their bodies were not burnt. Their clothes were not burnt. Their ropes were not burnt. Nothing at all was singed, and they did not smell of smoke. Therefore, even though they were in the fire, literally, even though they were in the fire, I believe they were not physically in the fire. Oh, you could be in something, but yet not of it. Exactly the same as what we're talking about with being in the water, but yet you're protected by it. Notice this. If the rope was burnt off by the fire, then therefore the bodies and the clothing around would have smelt of smoke. But we're not talking of natural, we're talking of supernatural. Therefore, who took the rope off? Amazing, guys. Who took the rope off? See, the rope had to be taken off by someone because it had to be removed because of where it was. And it couldn't have been burnt off, because if it was burnt off, they would have been part of the fire, but they weren't part of the fire. They were in the fire, but yet they were not part of it because they did not feel the effects of it. Neither did they smell of it. Neither did they walk of it. Neither was any part of their clothing burnt or any part of their hair burnt or anything. Yet, they were able to walk around. Guys, they were in it, but yet they were not of it. This is amazing. This is like they were in a protective bubble of something that was there. Guys, this is incredible tonight. Yet, sometimes we need to understand we can be in the fire and the fire is raging around, but yet we're not literally in the fire. We can be raging around, fire is all around us, but God's got us in the bubble. And whilst we're in the bubble, we can look around and everything could seem like there's just a raging fire and things are seeming to break around. But yet where you are, it's not happening right like that. And I just want to just say tonight, whilst we're in the fire and we've got God on our side, never underestimate the place where you're standing. Never underestimate the place where you're standing. There's a song that we used to sing called We're Standing on Holy Ground. And I believe that when you're in the fire, that God is able to pick you up and to carry you through that flame. He's able to pick you up and to carry you, to make you walk through there. No problem at all. But you have to listen to him. You have to yield to him and to say, God, I don't care whatever the circumstances, I'm willing to go through it if you're the one that's going to carry me through. And you need to hand that all over to him. And to say, God, I am in your control. I'm in your grasp. I'm in your palm of your hand. And only you can do this. I'm loving this tonight, guys. I hope this is making sense with you. You got to remember this, guys. This is about the natural meets supernatural. This is about the king expecting there to be something that is going to happen. Why? Because he's puffed up with pride. He's done everything that he possibly could to get rid of these guys. Yet God is not finished with them, and therefore he is not going to get them. Come on. He's not going to get them because he's not finished with them. Okay, I need to move on. Time is going. So, number one, God is going to protect them. The protection is there. He is definitely hemmed them in and he's made them safe. I've spoken about there being that bubble. I've spoken about there being that almost that stepping stone where God is just got them. Another picture for you, right? If for those of you that are lucky enough to go abroad maybe this year, or maybe you've gone to a seaside, you'll see these things, these round balls that you're able to climb inside, and you can run across the water in it. Now, my kids did it a few years ago. I think it's called Zorbin. You can be inside it and you can run across the water, right? So you can, it's like a creature. What's the creature called? Like a ferret or something like that runs around inside a ball, right? You're like that runs over the water. Hamster. Thanks, Luke. So a hamster that runs running inside this ball. You're just like that. So you're on the water, but you're not sinking. You're not feeling the effects of it. In fact, it's like, wow, this is incredible. I'm able to run on this, and I'm able to travel and to go the distance. I'm not sinking because I'm in a ball of protection. Right now, we need to understand, guys, if we are followers of Jesus, and no matter whatever is raging around us, picture yourself of being inside one of those balls of protection, and God's got you. You need to know that. Number two, details matter. I pointed that out tonight, that this fire was 7 times hotter. The guys were massive who has tied them up, that is expecting them to fall in, and that they just couldn't get away from it. Yet, proof is in the pudding. Yes, the fire was 7 times hotter, but the effects didn't hurt the guys that were following the God and the God that was number one in their lives. Yet the others that didn't have God as number one in their lives, they felt the effects. They felt the effects. We need to understand, guys, God has got us. And the details matter. When I've got the details matter, I've got this. King Nebuchadnezzar, this is the thing that he couldn't get out of. And he said, look! The very thing he wanted to shout out more than anything else, look! I see 4 men unbound, walking around the fire unharmed. Line under that, we need to absolutely put a pin in it and go in. Well, that is the moment that God is almost folding his arms, right? And he's walking around going, I told you I got your backs, guys. And he is showing everyone else just how awesome he is. And King Nebuchadnezzar is on the outside. He's done everything in his power to make sure these guys are gone, because it's not raising the standards for King Nebuchadnezzar. For King Nebuchadnezzar, this is about authority. And he wants to be the authority in all of the land. Remember, God has already put him there. But we're in a place right now that these guys are in the fire, but yet not of the fire. So they're in the fire, and yet they're able to walk around unbound, unharmed. And they're doing so, walking past the window. I love this. It's like walking past the window going, hiya, how you doing out there? Yeah, you all okay? And they're walking around, kind of chilling out. You can just imagine them having a bit of a praise on as they're in there. There's a raging fire that has clearly killed people outside, not least the ones that are inside, but yet they're walking past the windows going, hi guys, how you doing? You all okay? I love it. And it was only because of the imagery of there being the 4 that grabbed the attention of King Nebuchadnezzar. He goes, hey guys, didn't we check for, what, how many did we put in the fire? Wait, why is this happening? And all of a sudden, it's like a bit of a bomb goes off. Because he realizes that there's someone else in the fire with them. And he realized exactly who that person was. And at that moment, he shouts, come out. Come out. And he goes, notice this, guys, to prove just how hot that fire was, it says, King Nebuchadnezzar went as close as he could to the fire without him being burnt to see what was going on. Wow. In the natural, things would consume. In the supernatural, there is breakthrough. In the natural, things get burnt up. In the supernatural, there is breakthrough, and God is able not just to carry you through, but to help you thrive. He doesn't just let you survive, but he will make you thrive. And you're saying, Pete, but why? How will this thriving happen? You'll see now. The next one. See, guys, seeing is believing. Seeing is believing. I've got then Nebuchadnezzar came as close as he could to the door, the flames of the furnace, shouting, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come out. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stepped out of the fire. Then the high officers, officials, governors, advisors crowded around them and saw that the fire had not touched them. Not a hair on their heads was singed, and their clothing was not scorched. They did not even smell of smoke. And then Nebuchadnezzar said, praise the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angels to rescue his servant who trusted him. they defiled the king's command, and they were willing to die rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore, I make a decree, if any people whatsoever, race, nation, language, speak a word against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the house will be torn in two. Guys, we've got to believe that seeing is believing. And when we step out in faith, we do what God's called us to do. We say, God, I know that I'm walking into the fiery furnace. I know this is a tough time. I know that I could be in a challenging moment. Yes, in the natural, things could look really tough. I'm saying to you guys, in the supernatural, there is breakthrough, and there is a moment whereby you go, do you know what? This is not about me, but this is about him. And I need God to get me through right now. There's been many times, personal testimony for me, there's been many times in this pandemic that we've gone through, and as businesses, we've gone, do you know what, God, you do need right now to pull through. We've gone through times where we've gone, do you know what, things are really financially tight, and right now we could really do with some help. And it's been amazing, because this is what's happened. It's never been the abundance of, but it's been just the right amount. It's never been you're going to be overflowing, but it's going to be the right amount that you need to get you through to the time that of where you're in. And I believe that this is the case, guys. See, when you follow the path that God has had for you, when you step into all of that, when you say, yes, I'm willing to go, when you say, yes, I'm willing to step into all that you have for me, and I'm not willing to bend, or I'm not willing to go in a different direction. I'm not going to be thrown from side to side or tossed about from wave to wave. I'm just going to stay fixed. Come what may, I am absolutely going to be fixed to the thing that God's called me to be, and that is a follower of Jesus. I'm going to be fixed to that. And yes, things could look really ropey. Things could look really, really tough. I don't deny any of those. And let's be fair, for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, things looked really rough. It looked like a really tough place where they were in. Yet, there was someone else with them. There was someone else in the fire. Yet, God carried them through. This is the bit that I love the most, guys. Seeing is believing. And your testimony is your testimony. And when people see you for being you, and they see you for shouting out about your faith. Notice this, guys. It's not about standing on a street corner. It's not about shouting it out as loud as you can. It's not about the look at the big I am, exactly as King Nebuchadnezzar did. Look at me. Look at what I've built. Look at what I created. You're all going to bow down to it. It's not about that. It's in the small details where you follow through and people see who you are when you're in those places. Seeing is believing. How does your attitude match up? We spoke a few weeks ago about does your backstage match your front stage? Seeing is believing. Details matter. Details matter. And when the furnace is raging and it looks absolutely roasting inside, and it possibly is, and other people around you are being consumed, but yet you're not. You're in a place of protection. You need to see that for what it is. And you're seeing it because God's got you through. He's got your back. As some army people may have said to me in the past, Pete, he's got your six. That means it's an army term for I've got your front, I've got your back. I've got every part of you. Don't worry about it. I've got you. We need to understand that God is in the detail. So I'm closing tonight with this. If we're willing to be in the fire and we're willing to go in the fire, we're willing to stand up for what is right, how far are you willing to go? How far? See, some of us could have been the breaking point, could have been if, lives have been tested. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, their lives were tested. They were in a really tough place, but yet they would not yield. They would not change. Come what may, we will not bow down. And they said, even if we die, we will not bow down. Even if you take us, we will not bow down. See, when they've decided for themselves that they're in a place of comfort and of happiness. Guys, we need to be in that place tonight. That, yes, trials will come. Yes, whilst we're on the journey, we will get tough situations. Yes, we will get tired. Yes, we will have hurdles. Yes, there are many things that will come, but there is someone else with you in the fire. There is someone else that will carry you through. There is someone else that will always be with you. Guys, tonight, I just hope and pray that you know the person that I'm speaking about tonight. If you don't, his name is Jesus. He's a person that wants to come alongside you. He wants to be with you, and he wants a relationship with you. He just wants to be the person that can help you, support you, love on you, and he just wants to be there with you as you live your life. All we need to do is really, really simple. If you're at home right now and you don't know Jesus, you can just pray a simple prayer. Say, Father, I'm sorry for the wrongs that I've done. I pray you come into my life. I pray you turn my life around, and I look to you to follow you. Give me a new path. Give me a new hope. Give me a new destiny. Give me a new place. Guys, we got to believe that God is in the detail of our lives. So tonight, I pray that when all of us go through those trials and tribulations, never forget there's someone else in the fire with you. Good night and God bless. Okay, Tuesday the 27th. Tuesday 27th of April at 7:30. We really want to see you on our Zoom meeting. Please, please, please tune in. We really, really want to see you. This is some exciting news, some exciting stuff that's going to be launched. And we've got some really interesting stuff. And, of course, some dates with how the church is going to reopen and when it's going to reopen. We want you guys to be in tune with us. So please, please, please come and tune in to the Zoom with us. Guys, it's been a pleasure tonight. It's been a pleasure ministering with you. And, of course, as always, the best is yet to come. We have a Zoom meeting which is afterwards. Please, if you're able, we'd love to catch up with you. And, of course, the link which will be coming in the comments now. Please click on that. Guys, good night. God bless.